Nicole has, a special story, testimony, and connection with Dr. Phung, and that is because I think it was a little over a year ago where you had an appointment because you were having these migraines. And when Nicole's having these migraines, there was different medications she was doing to sort of handle that. But then you go and see Dr. Phung, and you discovered something in that appointment. You had an awakening.
So this is the Dr. Phung I've mentioned before. I've mentioned you.
Oh, well. Yeah, see, you're famous.
You are, because so I show up with migraines, and we have been praying for the migraines, and so we believe we could pray, and they would go. But then they were getting more and more frequent, and the medication I was taking, because I was taking estrogen midway through the month, and then I was also taking shots. I can't remember what it's called, but I was taking a shot to make it go away, but you only could take 2 in 48 hours. And sometimes I would take the shot and it wouldn't even touch the migraine, or it would go away and then come right back. So
bad.
So the migraines were getting worse and worse. And so I thought, well, I haven't adjusted my estrogen level in 13 years. So I maybe need more estrogen or something. So I went to you and said, I'm having migraines and I need more estrogen. And you said, I don't know if you remember this, you said,
this is a great quote.
Your migraines are your brain's tears. Your brain is crying. It's crying because of what you're feeding it. And I was like, and then you said, you're obese. And you know what?
It's okay, though. It's okay.
I needed, though, and of course, then I burst into tears because I was like, but where really do we find doctors who are willing to speak the truth? To say the truth. I really was. I mean, we had started a meal service, and every meal had either a potato or rice or or something like that, or noodles.
It was carbolicious.
So I had increased, because we started this new service for about 4 or 5 weeks. All I was eating was those things. Okay. So I think my migraine shot all up. So you said that, and you also gave me tools to help me. So it wasn't just and we went home and we applied it. Now, Bryan was already there. He was trying to convince me to eat this way for a while. But
I like the fact that you said that.
Yes. Bryan is always right.
Let's please elaborate on this point.
Bryan's always right. So he was like, this is how we need to eat as a family. So we made this change, and over the year, I did lose 40 pounds.
Yeah.
But
I know, yeah.
But awesome. More than that, my BMI went way down. I can't remember what it is right now, but it's in a healthy range, and my migraines went away. And a lot of other problems that I didn't even realize started going away. So we wanted to interview Dr. Phung because we wanted to celebrate what he's doing, because Dr. Phung, he is really a transformer. Yeah. He transforms people. Yeah. He's helping transform them. They're kind of being captive by what they eat, and what they're eating leads to death and sickness and disease. Right. And so he is going and rescuing them and bringing them in to health and goodness. And so that is something we wanted to celebrate.
Something to celebrate.
So we came today to say he has a way that leads you, it helps transform your physical health from sickness to life. And so that's something we wanted to celebrate. So our first question is, how do you work this magic? How do you do this? What do you do?
What do I do? Well, so before the magic happens, I was sick myself. Okay. And then, so the story was, this family history of diabetes. My grandmother was diabetic, and my grandmother was diabetic, and my aunt was diabetic. And I was like, well, I'm getting heavier. My BMI is creeping up. So, right. As the traditional teaching is that in school is that if your weight is going up, you need to eat less, you need to move more. And I'm like, maybe I'm eating too much. So let's cut back a little bit. So I actually bought a scale to measure my food. Okay. So I know how much I eat. Okay. And I started exercising a lot more. And then the weight would come down initially, and then after a few months it comes back up. And then after yo-yoing for some time, you just give up. So just like everyone else, this is exhausting. Yeah. I've done everything I can, and I don't know what else to do. And the moment really opened my eye was like February of 2016. I developed pre-diabetes myself.
Wow.
My hemoglobin A1C was 5.8, and I said I can no longer ignore my extra weight. I really need to get this eat less, move more, and make it work this time. And then so we bought an elliptical machine, and then I was on it 5 days a week, Monday to Friday after work, and then for a year.
Oh man. Jeez.
So I went in 170 pounds. I came out 172 pounds.
What? So that worked great. That was fantastic.
And then the story was, I was so dejected. I was like, I've done everything that I would tell my patients to do. And then when you tell your patient, if they don't succeed, then you're like, well, you're not following my direction.
Right.
And when you're following your own direction and you don't find the result, you start questioning. And then it came across another podcast by Dr. Jason Phung. I credit him for saving literally my life.
Oh, wow.
Saying, look, it's really not about eat less, move more. It's about our hormones that controls our weight.
Yes.
And it boils down to insulin hormone. And I was like, oh, I know hormone, but I'm not giving myself insulin. So how can it be insulin be causing the problem? And he said, well, it actually is the carbohydrate. When we eat carbohydrate, it drives very high insulin level versus the protein and the fat. So if we really want to control insulin, we need to lower the carbohydrate and increase the fat.
Right.
And I did that in 3 months, along with low carb. I did fasting. I dropped like 25 pounds. My diabetes goes away. My pre-diabetes goes away.
Sure.
And I was like, wow, I found something really new here. I haven't said anything to anybody because this is like different, right? I haven't said anything to anybody, but then I was like, wait, what am I supposed to do with my patients?
Yeah.
I've learned a lot more now. What am I supposed to do with my patients? And one thing leads to the next was like, well, you can't continue to write medicine for people who are diabetic, because if they diabetic, they eat too much carb. Let's help them cut down the carb.
Sure.
So I get people to cut down the carb, and I start seeing more results. And when you go into this lifestyle nutrition, one thing leads to the next. We call them rabbit holes.
Right.
And the next one was like, did you know that a lot of carb also will cause brain problems?
Yes. Right.
And I was like, I didn't know that. Really? And then that's where I start applying to people to say, hey, if they come in for headaches like migraines, if they come in for tension headache, but anything, if they look metabolically unhealthy, I try to tell them like, look, I'll write any pills you want, but those are just Band-Aids. I really want to get to the root cause of your problem. And then so that's where I started my journey on really connecting the dots with all these chronic diseases, how our food drives the disease. And once we understand that, then we can get people to choose the right choice.
Wow. Can you list some diseases that have been found to be directly tied to what you eat?
Absolutely. So type 2 diabetes, which is high blood sugar, but generally in adults who have too much weight or carry the weight in the middle, it is 100% high insulin disease.
Wow. Yeah.
And people will be like, well, wait, it is an insulin disease, not a sugar disease. We're like, it is a sugar disease, but the sugar disease is at the tail end of the process. If you were to measure people's insulin level, it has been elevated for at least 13 years plus before the sugar shows up.
Wow.
So people will be like, well, what does insulin do? I've said like, well, high insulin will drive obesity and diabetes. Yeah. So the big question is, how are we supposed to lower the insulin?
Yeah.
So the first job, we tell people like, well, choose the food that makes the least insulin and avoid the food that makes the most insulin. The carb makes a lot of insulin, so don't eat that, right? You know, that it's so logical, right?
It's so logical.
And then so usually after like 2-3 weeks, people cut back on their carb and make sure they get their salt and other things correct. So we call them, get them fat adapted.
Yes.
And once they get fat adapted, meaning the body is no longer burning sugar for fuel, but burning fat. And once that happens, is that we tell people, you don't need to eat breakfast anymore.
Yeah.
And then now you come against another hurdle. People will say, wait, breakfast is the most important
meal of the day.
Right.
What are you talking about?
What are you talking about, Dr. Phung? I don't understand it.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, well, you know, in reality, physiologically speaking, the body has been fed 3 a.m. It's called dawn phenomenon. 3 a.m, before we even wake up, some cortisol, which is a stress hormone, goes to the liver and will tell the liver to release some sugar to come out in the morning to get it going for the day already. So people will be like, wait, so I don't need my special K in the morning to raise my sugar
Definitely
to get
not
I
that.
go? I said, absolutely not.
Yeah.
You don't need it.
Right.
So generally speaking, when people are fat adapted, people usually don't eat more than 2 meals a day, usually a lunch and a dinner in a very narrow window, and that's all they really need.
But that comes naturally because
They are not hungry
Right.
anymore. They are not hungry anymore.
That's true. And I did try that. That is something, especially if and you said, I remember, and you said this, it is 80% what we eat and 20% what we do, how we move.
Right.
And I did not believe that. I was like, that cannot be true. I need to exercise.
and we were doing that.
And we were
that.
exercising
a
then
lot.
in my school, I was doing my CNA training, and then I started the prerequisite training. So I went from 2 days a week school to 4 days a week school all day, and I couldn't, and I had no exercise time. And so I had to stop exercising, but I maintained how I was eating.
Yeah.
And then I lost 6 more pounds.
Right.
Just by what I was eating.
Yeah.
So then I was like, wait a minute, I'm still losing weight, but I have not exercised. And I have brought in like the weight bearing exercises because I want to go into menopause with the densest bones possible. So, we do weight bearing exercises, but I don't, if I can't, I don't think that it's tied to my weight loss anymore.
Right.
It's what I eat. So I did learn that from you.
Well, thank you. Well, I learned it the hard way, remember?
Yeah, right.
Right.
We usually do.
Yes.
We usually do.
Yeah.
So there's a slogan that made famous. I learned it from Dr. Ben Bigman, and he's a PhD doctor, studies insulin at I think Brigham Young in Utah.
Okay.
The slogan goes like this: we eat smart to be lean, we exercise to be strong.
Wow.
We don't exercise to lose weight.
Wow.
Losing weight using exercise is weight loss is for the stupids.
We don't do that anymore. Well, that's a great,
that proves what we
memorable summary. I mean,
Yes.
it really is.
So you eat to be lean and exercise to be strong.
Right. I love
Because
that.
that's
Fantastic.
Because that's why when we're out in the gym now, that's why we're doing the weight bearing exercises, because I know that increased my
Bone density.
my bone density.
Yeah.
That is Nicole's favorite time of the day when we go work out, isn't it, Nicole?
It is.
What is your favorite exercise?
Oh my gosh.
It's probably the lunges, right?
It's not the lunges. It's not the lunges.
Or the squats.
It's not the squats.
Some people love squats. I'm
it's
just
not
not a
the
fan.
bench. It's not the bench press.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah, you
the-
don't like benches.
Or
either.
the bench where you lean. What is it where you're
The
leaning?
incline
I
bench.
don't like the incline
Yeah.
bench at all. That's my
But we
least
do it anyway, though.
I do like the back one because I'm like strong back. We were doing, now we had to drop our weight back because we started over, but deadlifts were on Friday, and I loved deadlifts.
Yeah.
And I kept increasing, and then my hands weren't strong enough to lift the weight. So I could lift the weight, but my hands couldn't. And so he gave me these little hook things to wear.
Yeah.
So we ended up, so now we've
Gotta be
taken
careful.
a break from that, and I just do the machine on
Yeah.
that one. So I go backward on the machine, and it works just
We're, and the way that we always think about it, at our age, we're not trying to win any competitions, any bodybuilding competitions or weightlifting competitions.
Although Brian still likes to oil it up.
Whatever.
Yeah, look at my
Yeah,
son.
just only in the evenings,
He's
folks.
going to
Only in
Snap
the
Fitness
evenings.
oiled up and ready to go.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Yeah, I want all the senior citizens there to be like, "Whoa, check that out." So we're hitting the gym, but also, and that's something that we have found, and we want to impress on you guys. What Dr. Phung was highlighting, it is 80% what you eat. It really is, and the percentage may even be higher than that for all I know, but that matters, tremendously. And so, so you have some more questions, but I wanted to ask, as you're kind of presenting this to people, what is the typical way that you kind of advise a person to sort of step into this lifestyle change? What do you usually recommend as a way to kind of get them started?
So there are two ways to get this done. So so there are two approaches. One is like head first, right?
Yeah.
It's like, look, what I'm doing is not working. Let me dive head first. And that is kind of like my approach, because what happened is that if people gradually reducing the carbohydrate, it will work. But unfortunately, we are a society of show me what I've done. And then so what happened is that the standard American diet is called has more than 300 grams of carbohydrate from either the bread, the pasta, the rice, the potatoes, the chips, the soda, the sweet tea, and all that. It's over 300 grams of carbohydrate. That's a lot of carbohydrate.
I didn't even think about that. Wow.
So we're like, well, we have to reduce the carbohydrate, but in order to get people to burn fat, generally speaking, we have to keep people's carbohydrate under 20 grams a day.
Yeah.
That's what we do.
And then people will be like, well, if I'm eating 300, can I cut down to 150? I said, yes. But if I cut down to 150, am I going to burn fat right away? I said, it depends on how bad your body is.
Right.
The longer you've been eating that standard American diet, the lower the carb you have to go. And then so if people say, well, I'm just going to do it slowly, then if you cut it, so we'll do the slower approach first. A slow approach would be like, don't drink your sugar sweetened beverages.
Right.
First.
Right.
Well, doctor's not working. 2 weeks later, well, you have too much carbs still. Don't eat your bread.
Right.
Oh, okay. Then obviously, once you get it out, you can't eat it anymore, right? So now you reduce your bread. You say, or in my case, reduce your rice, right? Because I'm Asian, so we eat lots of rice.
Sure.
Don't reduce your rice. Well, 2-3 weeks later, well, it's still not working.
Right.
And now people will be like, well, is this carb restriction thing going to work for me? I'm like, yes, it will work.
It will work.
But you have to get under a threshold.
Right.
I don't know where your threshold is. But if you get to 20, I can pretty much guarantee that you will work. So I use a quick approach. I'm like, look, if you really want this to work and want to see the results like very quickly, let's get your carb under 20 grams.
You have to dive in.
You have to dive in.
Yeah.
And most of your carbs should come from vegetable only.
Right.
If anything is not a vegetable, you don't eat it.
Right.
And people are like, wait. So no bread, no soda, no rice, no potato chip, no. How about a banana? No. How about a fruit? No. How about those nuts and seeds? I'm like, so nuts and seeds are kind of in between.
Some. Yeah.
So nuts and seeds are very high on fat, but they also are very high on carb too. And so just for knowledge-wise, 7 pieces of almond is 6 grams of carbohydrate.
Wow.
And people are like, you're supposed to keep under 20? I said, yes. And people are like, well, who counts almonds? Or who counts nuts and seeds? Right? Nobody, right? Nobody. So I'm like, look, at first, avoid the nuts and the seeds too, because we can easily go over that 20 grams very easily.
Very quickly.
So we keep the carbohydrate down, like less than 20 grams, mostly green leafy vegetables. And then we have lots of protein and fat. So
Mhm.
healthy protein, healthy fat.
So do you usually have something that you give people kind of, or a
I do.
website that you refer to them?
I have my own handouts that I
I
made.
figured, yeah.
But you can go to dietdoctor.com. They have like a bazillion of
Mhm.
recipes that you can cook with, and then I just cook what I like to cook. So I don't use a recipe, but
Yeah.
as long as it's meat and veg, that's all you really need.
Sure.
But Diet Doctor has really good recipe sites and nutrition that they talk about how low carb works.
Mhm.
So that is like what to eat. And
Right.
then the other one I tell people is that the Low Carbohydrate MD podcast with Dr. Tro and Dr. Bryant is a very good podcast for people to listen to,
Mhm.
because every week they release a podcast about either some patient who has done really well or some other doctor who've been practicing this, but with their own style.
Right.
So the key goes is not one style. One style doesn't fix everything.
True.
You kind of have to learn from everybody
Mhm.
and make it your own, make it work for you. So I tell people, like, look, if you want to know the low carb science for the common people, listen to the Low Carb MD podcast. I think that'd be very helpful.
That's good. And so I have another question before you jump in. So a lot of people when people are transitioning and become, fat adapted, as you're in that transition, there's something called the keto flu. And if you want to talk a little bit about, like, what is the keto flu? Why exactly does that happen? And how can we, minimize that? Because I know there are ways to minimize.
Yeah. So keto flu is actually not a flu.
Right. It's actually not a flu. It's kind of a bad name.
Yeah.
It's
Keto
true.
flu is actually known as carbohydrate withdrawal.
Right.
So what happened is that because we have 300 grams of carbohydrate and we have no carbohydrate, right?
Right.
So the body is like desperately trying to get its energy up. So the body burns carb, but the body burns fat.
Right.
So what happens is, well, I've been burning carb for most of my life, and now there's no carb. And you're like, well, in order to burn fat, you have to get the fat machinery up. You need to make more mitochondria.
Right.
You need to basically build a machine to burn fat. And so now the problem is you don't have sugar and you can't burn fat. So what to do? Your body don't like it. Your body really don't like it. So what does it do? It causes headaches. It causes fatigue. It causes nausea. It just malaise. Causes constipation. And people are like, well, then what can I do to help to minimize sugar withdrawal? Actually, a lot of sugar withdrawal come from your actually not having enough fluid in your body. So what happened is that when we eat the standard American diet, it's called the junk food diet. Inside the junk food, there is a lot of sodium. There's a lot of salt in there. And suddenly you don't eat that junk food anymore. There's no sodium or very little of it. So you're losing a lot of water at first. And when you lose water, then what happens? If you don't get enough water, your blood pressure goes low. If your blood pressure goes low, you don't get enough blood pressure go to the brain. The brain cries, called headache. And then you say, well, then what happened? And we're like, well, then your blood pressure goes down. Then you perfuse. You mean, like, it's harder to perfuse your colon. Well, what does your colon do? Your colon moves your stool.
Right.
And if you don't have enough water in there, then how are you going to move your poop? So now you have constipation, right? And so what we do is we actually add enough salt to your food to make it taste good. Because if you don't get enough salt, you're going to be low on water, and then everything else just like not doing well. But some people will have it, some don't. And the question is who will? Nobody knows, but it generally lasts about a week. And then but people have to be consistent. The main thing with adding salt is that if you have hypertension, if you have congestive heart failure, you might want to work with a doctor because you don't want to overdo on salt. And the other one with low carb is that if you are diabetic on diabetic medicine, you have to be very careful. You need to get a professional who knows how to do this, because your medicine will become too strong very, very quickly, and you can have low sugar and be in deep trouble.
Right. Okay, that's good advice.
That is great advice.
And one more question that I have is, what are some of the things that you've kind of arguments that you've heard against keto in the way that it affects the body? Like, some people, hey, it's going to affect your kidney this way, or there's different perspectives, and I think that's just it could be a lot of it is a misunderstanding, or actually someone may say that they're doing keto, but they're actually not doing it correctly. That could be the other thing.
That's true.
So what are some of the things that you've heard, and what would your answers be? Maybe the top one or two things that you've heard against keto.
People will say, well, keto is, number one is keto is too restricted, right? So we're restricting a whole food group, right? Mostly like very sugary or starchy carbohydrate.
Right.
And people say, well, is that healthy? We're like, yes. So people will be like, wait, aren't you gonna miss these micronutrients? And we're like, no. People were like, wait, where do you get your vitamin C from? Because vitamin C comes from oranges, right? Now, if I'm not eating oranges, where am I going to get my vitamin C from?
Right.
And then we're like, no, you can get vitamin C from bell peppers.
Yeah, right.
Bell pepper have more vitamin C than oranges.
How about that?
And people are like, what? I didn't know that. So there are a lot of things that we don't know, not that we don't know. Nutrition is not an exact science.
Sure.
Because what happened is that, a lot of reason why we've been wrong is that we have something called food frequency questionnaires. We'll say, hey, Brian, what did you eat 2 months ago on a Friday at 8 p.m.? And here's the list of food. You're like, I don't know, but we'll just check this and this, and you submit it in. So we call them, it's a lot of false recall. So what happened is, if you have garbage in, which means the collection, and when you're trying to come up with conclusion from that, it's going to be garbage out. So that is where the problem comes from. And the another problem is people say, well, you can't eat higher protein because it'll damage your kidney.
Right.
It's not true, because diabetes and high blood pressure are the leading cause of end-stage kidney failure, where people go on dialysis. And guess what? If you do low carb fasting, you reverse your metabolic syndrome. You don't have high blood pressure. You don't have diabetes. Guess what? Your kidney's not going to die. And for people who actually have diabetes, like kind of have early signs of kidney damage, we call it microalbuminuria. And if you get them healthy, the kidney will heal itself. The microalbuminuria stops.
That's amazing. That really is incredible.
So you're basically, your life, your passion is to go around inviting people into this because of what you've experienced. Like I see this, and this is my life. Like this is what you're. So what I know, I can imagine is you issued me an invitation. And I cried. but like, what else? Like, what resistance have you experienced of people that are just like, what reasons are like, I can't live this way because? A
lot of time it has to do with the environment, and so a lot of time people will say, well, I can't do low carb because I have this. Oh, can't do low carb because I have that.
Right.
A lot of them has come down to choices, right? So choices are like this. So we'll pretend, Nicole, if you say, well, look, I had migraine headache, but the pill works fine, we would probably have never met.
That's right. That's right. In fact, I came to get more pills.
Yeah.
And if you would have given it to me right off, I would have gone on my way.
That's right.
So I'm not saying that the pills or the shot for the migraines are bad, but I'm telling patients that they are not bad. They are good. They do some good.
Some relief. Yeah.
But what you really want to do is you want to say, well, is there a better way? Is there a better way?
Right.
And so with any patient is that you present them with just not one choice, right? Because from what we've been told is that if you're sick, so we call them, there's a pill for every ill. So if you're ill for anything, I got a pill for you.
Yep.
And that's what we've been indoctrinated
That's right.
into thinking. But there's more than that.
Right.
So if people say, well, wait, I don't have to take the pill for my ill. And the answer is yes, you don't have to. But now we have to unlearn a lot of the old habits that we have. And once we do that, then a lot of the ills either completely reverse or dramatically better, that you don't need a lot of pills to be healthy.
That's right. It's like they are wanting a short-term Band-Aid solution, and you're like, yes, but I actually have the real freedom that's going to take away the need for the Band-Aid.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. But unfortunately is that most doctors, before I learned this, I was only given the Band-Aids.
Right.
I was given lots and lots of Band-Aids. A Band-Aid for cholesterol, a Band-Aid for high blood pressure, a Band-Aid for diabetes, a Band-Aid for migraine, a Band-Aid for heartburn, a Band-Aid for low testosterone, a Band-Aid for polycystic ovarian syndrome, a Band-Aid. We got a Band-Aid for all the problems.
Oh, wow.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
Yeah, all the Band-Aids.
All the Band-Aids. But unfortunately, I tell people Band-Aid covers the holes, but if your house are all shot up and you just put Band-Aids on it, it's going to crumble.
That's right.
So what do you say to people that are like, okay, well, how long do I have to do this?
That's a very good question. So the solutions are, you can continue to apply the Band-Aid, or you continue to fix the root cause.
Right.
And then there are really no cure in these chronic metabolic diseases, from migraine to obesity to diabetes, high blood pressure. There's really no cure for them. If you take a pill, then that's a Band-Aid on your blood pressure.
Right.
If you do low carb, think of these as treatments.
Right.
You're treating your high blood pressure, you're treating your diabetes.
Yeah.
So the difference goes right here. So if I were to write you a pill, Nicole, for your chronic migraine headache, and I said, well, Nicole, you should take this beta blocker every day because it helps you reduce your migraine headache.
Right.
So you're like, well, I take it. It works good. So what's your take on it? You're like, so I need to take this every day because if I don't take it, my headache will come back. The answer is yes, it will come back. And then so the reverse will be, well, I'm trying to use the lifestyle nutrition, the low carb, the fasting, the physical activity to be strong, to help you to be healthy. And you will, the next question is, I want you to use that as a medicine. I want you to use food as a medicine.
Yeah.
And if you do that, then unfortunately we don't stop eating bad food.
That's right.
We continue to eat good food.
Because you were saying like what you were eating brought you the disease.
Right.
So what you were eating brought you the disease. And so if you go baback to that,
it's gonna come back.
It brings you the disease again.
Come back.
So I have this thing about it's kind of a joke, but I think it's kind of funny. So this is how it goes. So people will be like, oh, Dr. Phung, so I should not eat carb and lots of, basically like a birthday cake is like super carb, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, you shouldn't eat that birthday cake because it's not really good for you. Too much sugar and too much processed fat.
Right.
And people will be like, so I can't eat it? I said, it's going to drive your insulin very high. It'll make you fat.
Right.
People are like, oh, if I can't eat it, then... But can I have it for my birthday though? I said, if you really want to, yes, you can have it for your birthday. And now they start thinking, they said, oh, I can have it on my birthday now. I said, yes. And so can I have the whole thing?
Yeah.
I said, it's not good, but if you want to kill it, you can. And so people are like, oh, so I can eat it. I said, yes. But it's on your birthday. Yeah, 365 days. You can do it one day.
I get a birthday
right?
cake every day.
So people will be like, but that's too restricted.
Yeah, right.
So I'm like, if you know, for an adult, I'm saying, so are you married? They said, yeah. So guess what? You can kill on his or her birthday too, if you wish. But they're like, oh, so now I can get 2? I said, you know, it's really not good for you. So that's why I want you to avoid it, right? So people are like, oh, but now they said, okay, oh, so only 2 times out of the year I can have birthday cake. I'm like, no, you can actually have more than that. So people are like, how much more? I'm like, how many children do you have? They said 2. I said, no, you have 10. Because 2 plus 10 is 12. So 2 adults plus 10 kids. There are 12 people in the house,
Sure.
and each of them have a birthday on a separate month.
Sure, right.
You can kill it once a month, but those other, you know, take 365 minus those 12. There are many, many other days that we shouldn't be eating that birthday cake, but we do it every day. You know, typical in America. We eat out really sugary food and carby food, and at the end, we're like, where's my dessert?
Right.
Where's my ice cream?
Yeah.
I'm like, well, it's not part of the normal living. So people have to treat those sugary stuff on occasion, and they understand occasion. I think everyone will be fine.
I love it.
Occasion is not every meal.
It's not.
Well, I think we just wanted, if it was okay, just to bless you and bless your practice.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Yes,
And so
it's okay.
we'll end with that, and just to say, because blessing, like, we want your practice to prosper, and we want to see more people transformed.
That's right.
We want to elevate. You want your voice to be elevated.
That's right.
We want prosperity and good things and favor to come to your practice. That's what we just want to bless you.
That's
Well,
exactly
thank
right.
you.
And we will, in the description to this video, we will have a link to Dr. Phung's practice. And so you'll have, you'll know where it's at, where it's located, and contact information for him if you want to reach out to their office directly and schedule an appointment. We're encouraging you to do that, because if you're like, hey, I want to get started in this, but I'm going to need some help. Well, that's okay. And when you think about the long game here, when you think about what you're spending on different medication or doctor visits, imagine a lot of that being reduced because you begin to change your lifestyle habits of eating. Imagine the impact that's going to have on your health. So you might think, oh, I can't, it's an added expense, but think about what you're going to be saving, not just financially, but in your own health and what you're able to do. Nicole and I have been able to, really enjoy life even more, that she's been feeling well. There were times when she would get migraines. She would literally be in the bed maybe 2 days, sometimes more. And it was severe. Well, that doesn't happen anymore. And there's no other explanation than, really just the way that she's eating. That's the only thing that really changed. And so is it possible for her to get headaches and migraines? Well, we all, from time to time, sure, that can happen. Yeah, for different reasons though.
Usually because I haven't been drinking enough water.
It could be dehydration. It's a number of other factors, but it's nowhere near what it was. And we're not saying that, that is the cure-all for all migraines. I think all of those things have to be looked at uniquely, but we're saying for her, what worked for her and what worked for us, our quality of life, the way things improved. And we're all about empowering you guys to live on purpose, to eat on purpose, to exercise on purpose, to do all those things with purpose. That means that if you have purpose, you have a plan that you're following. And Dr. Phung can help you get started with a great plan and get you moving in the right direction. And that's exactly right, Cole. We wanted to celebrate, what he's spoken to your life, and in the change that we've seen and being able to enjoy. It's been really cool.
Yep. Yeah. And so too, to be brave, because we always, captivity, a lot of times when you hear truth, captivity rises up to prevent you from embracing that truth.
Right.
So, I know in my life, if I start saying things like, well, I can't do that, that's my captivity popping up to present itself.
Right.
So just see it for what it is. Have eyes to see. That's captivity. I'm free. I'm not a captive.
Right.
So if I'm thinking that has such a hold on me that here is freedom being presented, but I'm saying I absolutely can't do that.
Yeah.
That is something to give a serious look to. And ask yourself, am I a captive to this? Am I a captive to what I'm eating? Is it more powerful than
my
God?
choice? And my choices.
My free will?
Yeah.
My self-control is what is more powerful, and you are actually more powerful.
That's right.
So if it's rising up to tell you that you absolutely can't do that, just take a second to ask yourself, where is that coming from? Where's that thought coming from?
Right. That's right.
Because it's your captivity popping up.
That's popping up.
And you're more powerful. You're more powerful from your captivity.
That's right.
All right,
we want to take a minute, and if it's okay, if we put our hand on your shoulder,
Thank you.
we're going to speak a blessing. You guys can join us in speaking a blessing over Dr. Phung and his practice. And Nicole, do you want to get us started?
I'll get started.
Okay.
God, we thank you for Andy. We thank you for him and his practice and how he is a transformer. He sets captives free from physical problems.
Mm-hmm.
So I just bless him.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that you're blessing him right now. You're blessing his practice with favor.
Mm-hmm.
You're blessing his practice with prosperity.
Mm-hmm.
You're blessing his practice with every patient that comes through that door is coming into freedom. They're being invited into freedom. And he is a transformer for physical health.
Mm-hmm.
So we bless him. We thank you that you're going to bless him with wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
Every problem that he's encountering, that you can give him a solution. That there's always a solution, and you can speak that to him, and he'll be able to hear it and apply it. So I thank you for the creative ideas you're going to bring to him for this practice.
Mm-hmm.
I thank you that his practice is going to multiply its fruitfulness.
That's right.
I thank you that you're going to draw people here for physical freedom.
Mm-hmm.
So we bless Dr. Andy Phung.
Yeah. And Father, we thank you for the way that you're just increasing Dr. Phung's influence, that you are going to elevate his platform. There are going to be more people attracted to his influence, to his voice. And I thank you, Father, that even starting today, that he's going to see a difference in an increase, an uptick in the people reaching out to him for advice, for help, new clients, new patients, or that are coming into this practice. We're going to see this practice just overflowing. And I thank you for the innovation and the creativity that you're bringing to him. And God, we speak this whole blessing, not over just Dr. Phung, but over his entire family, over his wife, over his children. And Lord, we just speak a blessing over his whole entire family, that they will all get to experience the joy that comes from walking in freedom. And that freedom is wellness and health. And so, God, we speak all these things over him right now.
And I thank you, God, that there is nothing more powerful. There's not another demonstration that's more powerful than your blessing.
That's right.
So God, I thank you for the power of your blessing.
That's right.
And I thank you that there's going to be evidence of your blessing.
Yeah.
It's very powerful. And I thank you, God. And we bless Dr. Andy Phung.
Yeah.
In Jesus' name.
Amen.
Amen.
Guys, thanks so much for joining us on the Bryan and Nicole Show. Hey, listen, stay tuned, because we are going to be letting you guys know about our next interview that we're hoping to have with Mayor Gilbert. So we're going to be doing that probably in the next couple of weeks. So anyway, we'll see you guys next time. Thanks so much for joining us, and have a great night.